Hello everyone, I'm Grandmaster Matthew Sadler and welcome to this third video in our series on Leela's opening repertoire. And we're having a look in this video at 1e4, e5, and we're pretending that the Berlin doesn't exist. So what else has Leela got for us? Well, after e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, let's forget the Berlin, bishop a4. What is Leela's favourite idea? And actually at the World Chess Computer Championship, I was quite surprised to see Leela playing the open Lopez. So knight f6, castles, and then knight takes c4 in this position, the open Spanish. And but actually, you know, after leaving it for quite vast amounts of time, that is also what Leela wants here. So it must be, yeah, just must be a new choice from Leela. Leela's main line is a big theoretical one: d4, b5, bishop b3, d5, takes bishop e6. I think maybe this explains why players like Fabiano Caruana have been playing the open Lopez recently, because it seemed like a slightly surprising choice to me. And then at the World Computer Championship, there was a game Chiron against Leela, carried on knight d2, knight c5, c3, d4, takes, c takes d4, takes a4, bishop b4. This is a well-known theoretical line, and well, I think Chiron brought out 20 moves a book, and then it was pretty much drawn after that. Theoretical success for black, of course, but not necessarily what Leela needed at that stage of the tournament. c3 is Leela's main line, and it's also Stockfish's main line against the open Spanish. So bishop e7, knight d2, knight c5, bishop c2, d4, knight b3, and then this very sharp line d3. So Stockfish's main line, after was it 1,381,000 million nodes, is to go knight takes c5. This is also very well known. D takes c2, takes, knight e6, f e6, bishop e3, rook d5, and well, white gets the c2 pawn, black gets the e5 pawn, and yeah, it ends up being a slightly better ending for white, you know, because the pawn on e6 is weak. There's yeah, one high-class game, Carlsen against Ding, for example, Vikings A 2016, but that ended in a draw, and it's not too surprising, really. Leela's main line after d3 is to go bishop b1, which is more ambitious, of course. We leave the pawn on d3. We hope to pick it up later. So knight b3 takes bishop f5, b4 castles, bishop f4, queen d7, rook e1, rook f d8, h3, a5, g4, all carrying on here, and it's still all big theory. Takes, rook takes, bishop a2. Looks sharp. I mean, looks actually quite tricky for black after this move, bishop a2, because white's threatening e6. But, well, with the benefit of engine help, we can see that after rook f8, king h8, e6, queen d8, black just manages to get all of the pieces out of the way, and amazingly not even lose anything either. And after e takes f7, b4, this is Leela's novelty. H6 was an earlier correspondence game from 2020. b4, bishop c4, takes, and bishop f7. Well, I mean, Leela was claiming that the position was approximately equal. I think it ended in a perpetual check. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's I always find these lines a little bit fraught for black, I have to say. But obviously, if you've got analysis this good to help you navigate, then yeah, obviously it can be a good choice as well. So that's Leela wanting to play the open Spanish, but had quite a bit of fun really, giving Leela all sorts of stuff, and it was actually surprised me an awful lot what Leela did, because for example, if we tell Leela, well, don't play the open Spanish, play bishop e7, go for a closed Lopez, what do you want? And the amazing thing here is that all of the engines want to play castle and go for a marshal, but Leela doesn't. Leela just goes for d6. And then has to choose a line of the closed Lopez. This is quite interesting. It goes for the Zaitsev variation, which was a big Karpov favourite, used a lot against Kasparov, not all too successfully in the World Championship matches, but it's a serious line, and actually it's the choice of the top engines. Stockfish is also very keen on it. What's Leela's main line? Knight d2, bishop f8, bishop c2, g6, d5. knight b8, b3, c6, c4, knight d7, knight f1, a5. You know, just a very typical play there. Yeah, I mean, Leela's gaining space on the queen side, getting some space for its pieces. And, well, white's got good central play, potential for kingside attack, but obviously that's quite a way away yet. And, yeah, bishop g5, bishop e7, bishop h6 was Leela's move, a novelty. But after knight c5, knight g3, bishop a6, knight d2, takes b4, then, well, Leela's got some queenside space for its pieces very nicely. You know, knight on c5, the pawn's a5, b4, stopping the knight from being driven away, and the bishop cutting across the white position. Actually, this bishop on c2, a little bit passive here. So 0.13 according to Leela. So basically a pretty good result from a closed Lopez. But very surprised, you know, that Leela didn't want that. So just made me think, well, what does Leela think is good against the Marshall? Well, even if you say castles c3, Leela still wants to play d6, amazingly enough. But okay, I gave it d5, and it has some slightly unusual ideas, actually. So takes, knight takes c5, takes. I mean, Frank Marshall's original move was knight f6 against Capablanca all those years ago. c6 is the main line, and this is also Stockfish's main line. You know, I let it run for nearly 4 million nodes. And well, this was Stockfish's main line. You'll have it in the PGen as well. I mean, it's well known. This is a well-known theory. White gives back the d3 pawn, gets the d5 pawn, and we get this two bishops against bishop and knight position. And well, these are completely drawable if you know what you're doing as black. But Leela doesn't want to play c6. Leela wants bishop b7, and then queen f3. Bishop d6, bishop d5, c6. This is also known. There have been quite a few games in this. And rook e3, c takes d5, d4, queen c7, h3, rook e8, takes, bishop e3, a5. This is Leela's novelty over b4 that was played in Andrei Sokolov against Vladimir Tkachev, Nancy 2013. And it's a sort of a typical Marshall position. Two bishops for black. White's got an extra pawn, but not going to be very easy to break through. And actually what Leela wants, doesn't want to even play b4, which surprised me somewhat. It just wants to play a4, h6, and then it's just going to wait forever, basically, and just claim that it's entrenched on all of its squares and White's never going to be able to do anything. I mean, that's yeah, decent. I mean, it's not going to give you a win as black, but probably this is you know, solid enough for a fairly comfortable draw. So so that's pretty interesting as well. But yeah, very interesting that the Zaitsev, that was really what Leela wanted there. Now, of course, there's other possibilities early on. After e4, e5, knight f3, we could also play the Petroff. That's a big World Championship opening, played by Fabiano Caruana against Magnus Carlsen, and then by Jan Nepomniachtchi against Magnus. Poor Magnus had to face, he must have analysed the Petroff for so many years. So what does Leela want? Well, Leela goes for the following line. Takes d6, d5, bishop d3. Likes bishop b4 check, which I hadn't really spotted, to be honest. Doesn't make much difference because White plays c4 later anyway. Takes, knight c3, rook e8, rook e1, and we get this type of position where, well, White's got a small advantage, a small little lead in development. Maybe the d5 pawn is a little bit weak, but well, with a bit of careful play, it's not too bad at all for black. And there's actually a game, Navarre against Vidit, Prague 2022. And bishop e6, rook e1, h6, h3, and now queen c8 is Leela's novelty. This was a correspondence game. Queen a4, queen c8, Leela's idea. Knight e5, knight d7, f4, knight f6. Queen nicely placed here, stopping f4 to f5. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather be white here. I mean, you have the feeling that White might be able to sneak something if black's not completely aware of what's going on, but for Leela it's a 0.14 advantage, but maybe an interesting line to try against the Petroff there. The other interesting line, of course, is the Italian game. We've seen quite a few games in this bonus chess event at the TCEC where Komodo, Dragon, Stockfish and Leela take on all of the other engines from the starting position. And yeah, I mean, there have been a lot of Berlins, and yeah, both Leela and Stockfish have a tendency to play 3 bishop b5, but Komodo Dragon's been playing bishop c4 a lot, and that's been pretty interesting. And actually, all of the top engines have won some excellent games as black against bishop c4, so yeah, pretty interesting. So Leela's main line is bishop c5, castles, knight f6, d3, just the quiet variation, rook e1, a5, h3, h6, knight d2, bishop e6, bishop b5. Now Leela, from the very beginning, it's almost one of the first things that it looks at, and it never really changes. It loves this plan of queen b8, knight f1, queen a7. Reminds me very much of something in the French, where Yusupov came up with the idea of playing h6 and then king d7, queen g8 to h7. And this is kind of similar. I mean, the queen on a7 combines with the bishop against f2, and also makes black able to advance to gain a little bit more space with a4 on the queen side. So knight g3, bishop b6, queen a5, attacking the bishop, c4, queen a7. Wasted some time, but weakened white's control of the d4 square. Takes, bishop c3, c5. A little bit weird, blocking in the dark square bishop like that, but Leela's idea is to go bishop a5 and swap off the bishop anyway later. And, well, it's a pawn sacrifice, but Leela basically thinks that this is just completely even. 0.09 for white. I think we just blockade the pawn, we play bishop d7, and then it's going to be very, very tough to do anything for white. So that's quite an interesting line. It's just what Leela thinks against the quiet Italian game. Anything else that's interesting in there? There's a lot in the PGN. I mean, I spend a lot of time looking at the two knights, for example. Also d4, which has been analysed in enormous depth by Gawain Jones in his Coffee House Repertoire, which I can thoroughly recommend to any e4 player. Maybe the nicest thing to look at, though, is, of course, the King's Gambit. What does Leela want? And actually, this is really, really quite amazing, because I always thought that knight f3, knight f6 was not really a major move against the King's Gambit, but all of the engines are tempted by it, and it's the main move, at least for some of it. For Leela, it's the final one, after 112 million nodes. I think for Koivisto as well, and I think certainly Komodo and Stockfish were very, very keen on the idea, although I think they plumped for something else in the end. The idea is just to go a quick d5. I mean, it's pretty good development, really. Bishop b5 checks c6, queen e2, takes, queen takes, bishop a4, queen d8, bishop b3, queen f6. Feels like white's wasted quite a bit of time, but it's not too easy for white to keep any attacking momentum going. And basically, Leela's very happy to just give the pawn back and claim a slight advantage for black here, because well, they've got a bit more space and a bit more development as well. Takes the fun, I think, out of playing the King's Gambit, certainly. Although, yeah, you wouldn't sort of claim it as a winning refutation or anything like that. So that's kind of interesting. e4, e5, not the Berlin. Quite a few unusual choices there from Leela. So there we are. That's e4, e5. We're going to have a look at some more e4 openings in subsequent videos. Thanks for watching.